Hello and welcome back. We are on episode 6. Your boys, Nate and Hale, are going to be talking at you about, some politics. The election was running the night that we recorded this, that kind of shit. So, if you're not into that, sorry. We do talk about it a lot, but, there's some good content otherwise that's in there. Join us on this journey. We're gonna start a hippie revolution. We go into detail on that, and thank you for listening. We really fucking appreciate every one of you that listens. We got like only 40 views, I think, on the last video, and honestly, dude, like if we had like 10 views, I'd be fucking lit. Doesn't matter, so like it doesn't bother us. We're ready. If you do enjoy it, just it would help us if you promoted it. But other than that, let's get you into the fucking show. We're on Zoom. Sorry about that. Nate had to go home. Shit hit the fan at school, so we're not together in the same room recording. But yeah, thanks for listening, you guys, and enjoy.
Real quick before we start,
Mm-hmm.
I want to look.
At the elections.
Yeah, just because, like, dude, I don't know why, but I've been anxious about it, like, all day.
What do you mean you don't know why?
Well, because I shouldn't be, because I'm powerless to do anything at this point. Like,
Okay.
you cast your vote and, like, it's done. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Get
But,
this. Oh no, go ahead, actually. Go ahead.
no, you're good. You're good.
Um, I was just gonna say, I don't think my vote went through. I did the mail-in, bro, and I tried to track it.
You don't
And it,
go through.
like you can do a track your ballot
Mhm.
to make sure it's like all in and shit. And
Um,
mine has like an error message. It's like does not recognize or something.
what?
So like it might not have like gone through.
Um, can I? I didn't think that could actually happen, though.
Come on.
What? You think it was like, you
Dude,
think
the
it
mail-in,
was
I don't think it was somebody like saying, I don't think somebody personally on purpose sabotage. I just think the system just isn't that great for mail-in voting.
Yeah.
And like
Well,
people are gonna lose votes and people are gonna vote for their kids and that kind of shit. Like I don't know if it's enough to change it, but like that actually is true. Like it's not the best system for this fucking thing. Like
yeah.
the
It,
like people should just go to the polls.
yeah, but like that's not a reality for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well then we gotta find a better way to do it, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
I'm shocked we weren't able to do something digital. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of people are.
I feel like, I mean, I don't know if that's like a cybersecurity thing. Low
Oh,
key,
yes.
that's probably the only thing. But also, isn't it like, thinking about that, isn't it super fucking scary that like if we did do like internet voting or something like that, it would be so easily corruptible. That
Yeah.
means that even like with government encryption, like which is probably the best of the best. Like,
How long does that last?
well, I was just gonna say if we're not voting, it's not lasting. It's just not there. It's not doing enough, or it's not doing
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, it's scary.
Like
And
how long are we gonna have to vote in person because we can't we're not smart enough to beat somebody else's technology, like you know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
like how fast would those results, even if we didn't have like any interference, how fast would those results be completely negated? No one would buy it. It would be just like no one would believe it, you
what
know?
do you mean? Like,
Like
what
if
do you
we
mean by
voted
that?
all online and then like even if everything went right, like people would still be denying that the results were actually true because it was online. Like no one would even believe it for 1 second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. But like, I don't know. I almost think that people are more bound to trust stuff digitally nowadays than they would trust like mail. Like a
Maybe.
huge thing that like I hear from people who believe that like mail-in ballots are, just like fundamentally flawed is,
Hmm.
oh well, it's just physical mail. You can easily like intercept that or destroy it, or it could ship to the wrong address. Dude,
Yeah.
I, somebody said to me that mail-in ballots are stupid because if it's sent to a dead person, then somebody else can write in a vote for them. So it's voter fraud. It's like, do you realize how flawed that is? Like, it's all tied to your social security number. Like, if you die, there's no way, unless you're murdered by like a super smart killer, right? Your death certificate is going like it's going to be processed within at least what do you think? Like conservative estimate, 72 hours.
Yeah, that makes sense, dude.
Yeah, like
No, I hear you. I just, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I feel like no matter what you do, it's just gonna be like torn apart. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm just yeah. I guess I'm trying to like stick up for the system that we are using, only because it comes under fire so much. And I know you're not doing that from a partisan like perspective,
Hmm. No,
but
I get you.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's the election night right now.
Welcome to hell, everybody.
Yeah, this
I really,
sucks.
dude, I've had so much fucking anxiety about this all day. Just like, I don't
And the
know.
whole house has, bro. Even I have like just had like a little tinge of like, fuck, man, what's gonna go on? Like, what's gonna happen? Like, so many unknowns and like, um, just it just feels like it's such a big occasion that like anything could happen, you know? And like it's kind of been like played up, but it's just like it's stressful, dude. Like it's in the air. Like everyone's stressed about it. We have people who don't want to talk about it in my house that like keep talking about it, and like it just like like
Yeah,
everyone doesn't know what to do with it.
everybody. I almost felt like, dude, I went out to like the grocery store this morning to do like errands for my mom, right? And it literally felt like you could sense people were sizing each other up. Are you Biden? Are you Trump? Like leftist, right? Like,
No
and that
way.
probably wasn't what was actually going on. I was probably manifesting that to like some degree, but yeah, it felt really weird. It was definitely like a super like stand your ground kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like this
There's
shit.
just, what's up?
I was just gonna say this shit really makes me want to like buy a gun or something.
I told you this morning, bro, there is not going to be a civil war because the liberals don't have any weapons. But dude, I want a gun just because like I think it'd be like a fun hobby to have, like just shooting like a shooting range or something like that.
Yeah,
Not really for self-protection, and like I don't know, I don't know. Like that's not a
but
big deal.
it's definitely fun to like shoot around.
Yeah,
Like
like yeah, it's like a no, I feel like it's a semi-normal thing to want a gun. Like
yeah, and
like a lot of people hate on guns a lot, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's like you can't really like toss the baby out with the bathwater like that. It can't
Yeah.
be just like there are like it's not like it's not the organism itself. There's just a sickness around it that's fucked it all up. So it's like now it can't act properly. So the system around it, like it's not done properly.
Yeah,
So
agreed. Yeah.
if we actually did like reforms where it's like, okay, there's going to be an extensive like class or like process for being able to get like some kind of like registration for a gun, like be able to have a license,
Mm-hmm.
like that would make it so that would restrict so many people from having them. But
Yeah.
also we can't, you know, well, I'm sure like you agree with this, the whole thing of you can't have like assault weapons or like
Yeah. Yeah.
even some even some rifles and
Mm-hmm.
pistols. Like you can't have those if it's automatic or even like I don't know, even semi-auto. It's like, do you really need that? Like to hunt, you don't really need that. And if you do have like a semi-auto pistol, unless you're like, I don't know, unless you're hunting like a really dangerous animal,
Mm-hmm.
like not that a semi-auto pistol is gonna like do a whole lot against a bear. I'm just saying like
I know what you mean, dude. I know
yeah,
what you mean.
yeah. It should be
100%.
a logical thing instead of this weird kind of like ideological black and white where we're like, a gun's a gun's a gun's a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so we either have all of them with no restrictions or none of them and like all the restrictions. It's like,
Right. Right.
why the fuck is it only those two?
It's always that, bro. And that's such a bummer. That'll just bring us right back into like finish our thought on it being election night.
Yeah,
Like just it's insane how like everything is so polarized and it just like it's like in the air. It's just like there's unrest. It's kind of heavy. I know I already said all this once before, but it's just like I feel like people kind of get that. Like they'll probably be feeling that too, like that anxiety you said you had. Like it's a big deal. Like, and I was talking to you about it in the last podcast, and like just saying how like you try not to let it affect you, but like it's obviously important. And just like like it definitely affects you, even when you don't want to. Like even like me, who I've been like trying to like tell everyone like to not let it affect you too much, and then like what I mean. And I'm here like being affected by it, so it's a
right.
heavy fucking day, and just like
Yeah,
weird all around.
but like tuning into things hasn't made it any easier. Um,
Right.
I think did I send you that thing about there's like this account on Instagram that's fucking massive,
Yeah.
change
Change.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They put up something the other day about like election night survival guide, and it was like have a go bag with all your important documents, food,
Yeah.
water, clothing.
Yeah.
Um, like I don't think they mentioned a weapon or anything like that, but it was like I don't know. It was almost like throwing down the gauntlet to the like extremist groups, and
Yeah.
being like, okay, we're going to be acting like it's happening. So you're pussy if you don't. And it was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Damn. What a psychological fucking manipulation that is.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
It,
disgusting. I never thought of it like that.
dude, it's like manipulating things or manifesting things into existence, I think.
Yeah. Where it's like, but manifesting kind of has like a nice ring to it. So like manipulating things through manifestation, like that's a good like
Yeah.
detailed word, because it's fucking the opposite of good, but it still works.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like the height of like dystopia. Like a
Yeah.
really, really like I don't know, fucked up society where it's like you could possibly egg on a civil war just through like a social media account
That's
that's
how,
viral.
dude, that's how vulnerable we are to this fucking technology and the way we're consuming our information.
Okay, there's this like I don't know if you've seen this trend on like Instagram where um there's this whole community of like self-help pages and like especially like mental illness related ones.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I throw shit from there like all over my story all the time. But there's a certain point of that community where it's like the humor aspect of it because it's like, oh, like everybody wants to find their niche, so like let's blow up by introducing comedy to this community.
Mm-hmm.
um, so everything is like uh, oh, um, me with anxiety in a public place, so then it's like a cat like photoshopped its mouth wide open, it's like screaming. It's like how destructive are those kinds of memes, and just like I don't know, that thought process about the whole thing, because it's like, okay, now I'm a member of this community.
Mm.
I'm defining myself through my mental disorder or illness that I'm suffering from.
Yeah.
And now my sense of humor is going to be tied to it. And that is such an intrinsic thing for
Yeah.
showing off the values of like a human being, like what you choose to joke about or just
Yes.
intrinsically find funny tells so much about like your core beliefs and values, I think, at
And how
least.
you feel about yourself, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
And just how you feel about yourself. Like people will make like either the most like demeaning jokes in like inwardly or outwardly. Like
right.
demeaning to themselves or demeaning to other people. And like you can see like it's interesting how anxiety kind of manifests or like kind of like personifies into like I feel like two different things. Like um it can like manifest into um what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, into like something that is like negative to somebody else, or it can like manifest inward. So like I know people who have like anxiety and like they're like joking about something and like it's mean, it's not really funny, and like it makes them feel better about themselves because it's like affecting somebody else. And then I know some people who are like just shit on themselves, like, you know
Right.
what I mean, instead of like choosing to take it out on somebody else. They just put everything inward and just decide to like tear themselves apart so that, you know, like because they feel like maybe they don't need to do that to somebody else, they can do it to themselves. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if that makes any sense. I just went on a tangent.
No, no, no. I think that makes perfect sense. Like somebody who might be like more mature, it's easier for them, I think, to like channel that inward,
Mm-hmm.
especially if they're trying to grow.
Yes, so
But
true.
yeah, that other person who might just be like, this is me. I am only my mental illness, and
Mm-hmm.
like I can't and won't like change that. Because like
Yeah,
I'm not trying to sound like one of these people who are like mental health deniers. Like,
I know you're not. Yeah,
yeah, it's literally just like there are things you can do. And
yeah, yeah.
the worst thing is saying, I am this, like,
It controls me. Yeah.
yeah,
And it
yeah,
makes it so much harder for the people who are trying really hard to like overcome something, because it's
yeah.
like they see that as just like such like, and it's kind of like I feel like maybe they don't realize they're seeing it as this, but like I could be totally wrong about this, but like I feel like if I was in a vulnerable position, I would see people using that as like an excuse to not, like it's really just an excuse to not be better. Like it's easier to just be like to hide behind it than to overcome it. So then you just hide behind it, you know,
Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean by like
your
hide
mental
behind?
health.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, you're using it like a social shield or something.
Yeah, just like you're saying, how people that say they have anxiety and like they let it define themselves, you know, like
Right.
that just make like people who are actually trying to fix themselves, or not, like, you know, just like they're like more actively like involved in becoming a better version of themselves instead of
Oh,
like
yeah.
using it as a shield. It's harder for them then to continue to like work on it, because it's like that person has it and they're using it to their advantage.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
not really to their personal advantage in the long run, but like they think it's to their advantage. Like, you know, like they're getting attention or they're getting, you know, one thing or the other, and they're not like working on themselves. They're just, you know,
Yeah.
some people, some, not all of them, obviously.
It's like, dude, it's like like riding down a stream, like for going really fast. You got to do no work for a little bit, but then you
Mm-hmm.
get too fast, like oh my god, too far past where you're supposed to get off, and then you have to swim up river for like the last mile to get back to where you should have gotten off.
Mm,
You know what I mean? It's almost like,
yeah,
yeah, a weird sort of like rushed or forced development.
well said. And dude, like honestly, I should just let you talk about this more, because like you've talked about how you've had like some mental health struggles, and like I haven't really had that same experience. So I feel like I just went on a tangent, but like I don't know if any of that was true, and like I don't like experience it on like the same level, and like obviously we're on different, like I'll
Bro,
never fully understand, but like you know what I mean?
honestly, I don't think it matters because like all perspectives I feel like are kind of needed on this anyways, because if everybody shares the same like perspective, then we can get to that point where it's like, oh, everybody understands regardless of whether they've had experiences with it or not.
Right. Yeah, and I also do really try to like I definitely do really try to think about what I say, like when I talk about that kind of thing, just because like I know that a lot of people don't want to hear it, like if I haven't been through it or whatever. And so I just want to know, like I just want people who are listening to understand, like I understand that I don't fully get it, but it just like like you said, like these are my thoughts on it. Like I think you're right. Like people should be able to talk about something even if they're not experiencing it, but like, you know, everyone's like opinion should be valued respectively. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like my
And
opinion of this topic could be like okay, and you'd be like okay, like I get you, like, but I'm a little bit discredited because like I haven't been through that same experience. You know what I mean? It's still important, but it might not be on that top level. And I want everyone to know, like, that's how I see it, that opinion. Because I don't want to be a dick. Like,
Yeah,
I hate people that just pretend to know what they're talking about. Like,
right.
I think that's where that rant came from. I don't want to be the person who pretends to know what he's talking about.
But that's like the healthy skepticism that like we need.
Right.
I think that's good.
We all pretend to know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the other day, so I'm home right now. That's why we have to do this Zoom thing.
Yeah.
Like I came home and I was talking to my dad, and he was telling me, like, I was talking about like election results and everything. And I was like, I am really worried. Um, like if it comes to it, if Biden wins, there won't be that many riots, right? It's not going to be like an entire cultural movement.
True.
Um, However, if Trump wins, fuck, like
Yeah.
there's going to be so many riots for so many days and so much damage. And
It's horrifying.
yeah, I mean, I said it to my dad, and he was like, "Well, most violence comes from the right," and I was like, I'm like solidly leftist, and I'm like, I can recognize that like
Yeah.
there are a lot of people who are just going crazy in like certain parts of the left, like really
Dude,
it's the extreme. But
thank God you can see it, because it does feel like there are like so many people on the left that just don't get it. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, well, I mean, it's on both sides, but
Obviously. Wait.
yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I totally lost my train of thought. What were you just saying about help me out?
um the whole thing about my dad was saying that there were he at first he goes, "Oh, well,
Oh,
don't you know all
my
violence,
fault.
like protest violence, is coming from like the right?"
Dude, I'm
um
sorry. I remember now. But all I was gonna say was just like, yeah, I think a lot of people like are sort of like, they'll just believe whatever they read, you know? Like, they're in on like whatever is happening on the right and the left. And like, we need more people on both sides to just be like, all right, like, there, it's somewhere in the middle. Like, this is all bullshit. Like, you
yeah,
can't be like so. That's the problem, is you get so invested in it, you just believe everything that somebody says because they're on your team.
yeah, okay, so dude, this brings us back to like I know we've talked about this before, and we've both said centrism in some respect.
Yeah,
I've come to like a new understanding of what that word actually means, and like
enlighten me.
we're not centrist. Like it's
Okay.
definitely like we're talking about these aren't extreme views in practicality, but they've represented themselves as extreme views because these are the things that like the rich and a lot of politicians who also are the rich don't want us to vote on. So it's almost like it's like, okay, the people who are going to care about these issues we labeled as extreme that are actually very reasonable, um, they're going to go for them anyways, but now we get to call them extremists. So great. And that happens on the
Mm.
right and the left. And people who are in the center, and I mean like the true center of just like, I don't really care what we do, which is like more what like the center actually is, like
Yeah.
they're not engaging with those issues that are the actual important ones.
Mm.
So
Oh, fuck that.
yeah, I feel like we got long con, but I feel like the both of us have more ideas where it's like we do like we kind of get certain aspects of those ideas or policies that might have been labeled as extreme that really aren't that extreme in practice and are like necessary probably for like the continuation of the country. So
Yeah.
it's not even really that we're like centrists. It's just like, you know,
We're
we have
reasonable.
ideas from what?
We're just reasonable,
Yeah, it's
I
just
feel
reasonable,
like.
right? Taking the ideologies that work, like that are real.
And not being so invested in your fucking cult that you can't possibly see past its faults. Like,
Yeah.
it's like one of those things, dude, where your parent, like your mom or dad, has like a something about them that you never noticed that everyone else knows because you're so close to them that like you don't really see it. You know, whether it be like like a little twitch or something that you never noticed, or you know what I mean, something like that. It's like you're in this fucking group of people who all believe the same thing, and like there's just no way you're gonna
Right.
like believe that there's fault. It's like how like
Yeah.
nothing's perfect. Like I don't
Well,
know, man.
I mean, there's this one insidious thing that I've noticed, and I don't, this goes on to some degree on the left, but I've noticed it a lot more on the right. It's this
Hmm.
idea of throwing in like just these false facts,
Hmm.
not just fake news, but like throwing in these false facts or core beliefs into like the cultural zeitgeist of like right wing America and making those central issues. And once you like, dude, once that becomes a foundation of your beliefs, especially like your political beliefs, something that is always in so high contention, and nowadays it's like
Mm.
debated and attacked so much.
Yeah, it's
Like
crazy.
if you have one of those falsities at the bedrock of all of that, you're never
Mm.
going to change. Like, and I don't know what exactly all of those are, but like some
Yeah.
of them come to mind, and it's like even if you say that to these people, they're so entrenched in their philosophy that it's like we can't swap this up now. And I mean, it's the
Mm.
same thing in I think to a lesser degree on the left, with a couple of specific issues that I'm sure everybody like
Yeah.
like none of these are like you know really deep things. These are all like
Right.
core level beliefs that everybody could like normally associate with these people, and it's like, is it really their
Yeah.
fault or were they fed it? Like,
And we could and like certain things like we could all agree like on. Like certain things I feel like every human would agree on that thing. And then it just the distance between
you know,
the two solutions to that one problem is so far right now. Like there's such a gap between like that it's like it's just not even like a considerable option if you're part of that team.
right? Well, it's almost like, dude, it's almost like those decisions. Like, it would be quicker for us to get there if we just got so extreme that we like overlapped each other. And I know that's a crazy thought, but like for a second, it might be like, oh, we're all united because we're killing each other. Like, you know what I mean?
I wonder what no, yeah, I hear you, man. That's great. That's a crazy thought. I wonder what it would take for us to decide like what's the tipping point of our current human race before we decide like we can't do this anymore and like there's another revolution. You know what? Not I guess like there's all these revolutions in history. Like when's the next one coming and like what's our tipping point like now? You know what I mean?
Right. I don't, dude, okay. I don't even know if like a real physical revolution is necessary. Like, think about like war nowadays. War is not fought like boots on the ground, really. It's
Yeah,
all like
100%.
cyber attacks.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
biggest wars going on right now are like our cyber war with China and
Something
Russia.
we Yeah, something we know like nothing about. Like if it was a physical war, they can put it in the news, bro. This goes to your idea about a internet architect, like
Yeah, like an internet paleontologist.
paleontologist.
Yeah.
Yeah, not architect, internet paleontologist. I was saying I forget. Anyways, yeah, like that goes into that idea. Like just like people who are like figuring out how we're getting fucked like online. Like that's a whole new kind of um journalist. Like, you know what I mean? Somebody who can just understand. Like, we don't know what the fuck is going on. We don't like. We're in a war that we don't. No one knows about because no one's covering it. And like, I think it's like a lot of like the American pride of just like we don't want to believe that we're getting fucking absolutely fucked by everyone, dude. Like
Yeah.
everyone is just fucking us. Like, do you feel like that?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. Well, it's like we've been in a downward spiral for the past like 4 years, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
other countries don't really respect us. Like,
Right.
we don't really like produce anything anymore. Like,
We're
oh,
useless. But
yeah,
everyone wants to live here and be like we not
we're
really,
like,
but
dude, we're like the fun grandpa at the party. Like,
yeah,
it's
true.
just he used to be great. Yeah,
Oh,
he used to run
okay,
shit
but
here.
now you're killing me, man.
Dude,
Like
I'm telling you, it's like we're showing up to our old company and just being like, I founded this place. Look at how well it's doing right now. And a
that
few
makes
people are
like
loving it.
yeah, that makes me sad at the deepest level.
Same.
That I
Like,
mean, that could not have bummed me out more when you said that, but I think I
I'm
needed to hear it.
sorry.
No,
I
I think
feel
I
like
needed to
it's
hear
true.
it. I think you're right. It just like so. Oh, I wanted to talk about this so bad. I watched Hamilton the other night.
Mhm.
Okay, amazing. Have you seen it?
No,
I
it's
just
really that
I
good.
I swear to God, fucking fantastic. Here's why I liked it. A million reasons. Uh, he's an entrepreneur, kinda. Like I'm loving his spirit in the movie. Like he is like the original American dream. Like maybe the first person to like one of the first five people to live the American dream like before it happened. Like
Yeah,
just incredible what he accomplished. Like I I did my morning routine this morning, my miracle morning, and
yeah.
I wrote out I was using the same affirmations for the longest time. I wrote out new ones yesterday, and the morning after we watched Hamilton, I wrote out there's this one song in Hamilton, and they like sing about how he writes like he's running out of time, and
Okay.
like it just like he wrote like the Federalist Papers, like he wrote I forget how many there were. He wrote, all right, so one person wrote like 17 and then died. And then another person who I should know his name, I'm forgetting, wrote like 27. I'm fucking the numbers up, but it's around this area. And then Hamilton wrote like 58 of them. Like
Gee,
58 of them. Like, and that's like that entrepreneurial spirit I was talking about. Like,
yeah.
that's why I love it because it's like that. And like, I wrote that down as one of my affirmations, just like, right, like you're running out of time. Like, dude, just it's so inspiring watching like the greatness of America unfold. And the play is like written in the perspective of an autobiography that the producer of the play read of Hamilton. So
Okay.
all of the opinions of the people in the play are based off of like Hamilton's autobiographies, opinions of those people and how he held them like in his head. And so it just
Okay.
so like George Washington is on a pedestal like
Right.
and like all these different things and it's so fucking good because it just
Okay.
like it
All
makes you
right.
have such an America boner like it's awesome and like
Yo, yo, hell, can we dissect this real quick?
yeah,
That America boner thing. Like
why
I've
don't we
noticed.
get those anymore? We're like we got ED.
Well,
This
okay,
country has erectile dysfunction, bro. That's
you're not
ridiculous.
wrong, but I want to know, like, so you obviously are very much like the American dream, like that gets you going. And then it's
Yeah,
oh, the Statue of Liberty, like, you know what I mean?
what can I say? What can I say?
But I want to know, like, where does that like come from? Because
It's my optimism. That's where it comes from. It just comes from the belief that like everyone can be okay. Like
yeah,
even in like the worst situations. But it's such an ignorant standpoint to be honest. Like
I don't think it's ignorant.
because
I don't think
because
it's
of like it's not ignorant like completely, but it just like because of my upbringing, like I'm so lucky to like have been brought up like that. Like I don't really
yeah,
believe in like like it's like for me drawing a fine line between because I'm too optimistic like we've talked about this before so it's like drawing a fine line between believing everything is okay like completely to the fullest extent everything's fine everything's good and then like the other side and just like trying to understand like I'm optimistic that everything will be okay but I know that everything actually isn't, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
drawing that line.
Right. And I mean, there's nothing like, I think it's good to be cognizant of it, and it's a skill to be able to be cognizant of it and still not like have it deeply affect you.
Taking over.
Um, but like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just meant like I don't watch, you know, um, what's that Tom Hanks movie, Saving Private Ryan?
Mm.
Like I don't watch that, and I'm like, oh shit, like that makes me want to go like lift weights or join the army. Like it, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that,
It
like
doesn't turn you on the same way.
right. It's like not that America, like I don't know if it's like fetishization or just like
Yeah, probably partially. I mean, we'll call it what it is, dude. Like, I think we're a little fucked in the head, but I think that's part of being a human, just like being proud of where you're from. And I think it's like cool to hate America now.
I
Like,
don't know if it's cool to hate America because I definitely like I think at my heart I'm an idealist and I
mhm.
know how good we can be and I know what it is we could stand for, but the like realist or like cynical perspective is we're not accomplishing that right now. Why aren't we doing that? That's so much sadder than if we had just failed and couldn't get there,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So it's not even this thing of like, oh, rebel against authority, like fuck America. Like no, like it's I'm just disappointed because we're like it's like having an athlete that has so much potential and has
Yeah.
all the faculties and he just parties it away.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel that, dude. I think it just like, I think it's, yeah, I don't know. That's tough because I just think like, as a person who thinks that way, like, I don't know. That's just like not how I'm wired to think. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like, I definitely understand what you mean. Like, we could have been so much better than we are now. And I think that's kind of why I think I liked Hamilton last night. Dude, I just had to pull it together there. I was lost for a second. That's on me, man. That is totally on me. Like, I was, Jesus Christ. But yeah, like watching it last night, I think I was so like turned on by it because like I just don't think that's where we are right now. And I
Yeah.
love the beauty of, and I'm also just like a big history geek. Like, I don't know that much about it, but like I'm reading my history book and I'm like, I just want to read the whole thing. I'm like doing it just for assignments, but I'm thinking about going back and like, I don't know why I love it. But anyways, it's just like hit all the things I like in the movie. But I think it was
Right.
for me, it was just like, man, like we used to be, like you're saying, we used to be so great. Like, even though we were terrible back then, like we really had something there, like the
You had so
idea
much
of it.
potential.
And that's what I love that because if it's happened before, it can happen again.
Yes. Okay. All right. I get it.
That's where I
You're,
get turned
yeah.
on. Like that's
Yeah.
what fires me up. Like I was telling you earlier today, I was going on to Facebook because I had to do some photography shit on there.
Yeah.
And it popped up as like, did you vote? Like, tell America, like whatever. And it just said like, I
Wait,
voted, hashtag.
like tell America who you voted for.
No, just that you voted.
Oh, oh,
So you
okay.
click the button and it goes like hashtag I voted 2020. And then I like typed up this whole paragraph. I don't even use Facebook. I don't post on it. I typed up this whole paragraph, just like trying to like pour my heart out. It was like a journal, honestly. I knew I wasn't going to post it. I just needed to get it off my brain. And like sometimes I try to write it down. Usually it doesn't work. I don't know. Like writing it down doesn't really, that's not how my brain works really. I'd
Yeah.
rather like
Yeah.
say it out loud, but it takes me forever. But I was just thinking like, like I was trying to basically encompass the message or like embody just like unity in my message about voting. I just wanted to be like,
Right.
all I was thinking all day was, how can we be happy now? How do we be happy now? What are the things that we can be happy about right now? So I was like, I will be so happy if we have record voting numbers.
Yeah.
And if like everyone just gets out to vote, and like that was what I was like, you know what, like it's stressful, but like I've already heard there's like could be record voting numbers. Like I want to find like the positive things in it because it's like You know, like there are things to be excited about even in the midst of like all this fucking garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely,
That might not have made
yeah.
any sense
I
to you.
think there is. I think there is. I think there are good things to look forward to, but I can't like,
Yeah, I
you know,
understand. I don't blame you, bro. It's hard to do that. Like for me, I don't know why I do it, but you know,
it's
anyways,
a good,
but
it's the flow state. It's the positive flow state.
I
Um,
wanted to like post about it because I was so like, fuck, I want to get this off. And then I was like, I don't think it's worth it. Like, you
yeah.
know, I don't think anyone's gonna see it and like I'll talk about it here, but yeah.
Right, right. I mean, no, I agree. Just posting on that like short exchange, like social media thing, it's like, is that really good? You
Does
know?
that really help? Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. What
Is
were
it?
you gonna say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was gonna say, speaking of like the whole election thing, I just checked the numbers and Biden's up 131 to 84.
What?
Well, I mean, they've counted a lot of blue states already. So
That's crazy though. That's a big lead.
yeah, but it doesn't really mean much
Yeah.
that early on.
So can you explain to me about what the mail-in voting is doing to slow things down? Because I thought like the Electoral College basically decided. So if
Well,
their vote's in, then their vote's in, whether they have the mail-in ballots or not, right?
no, dude, that whole thing about
That's
late
bullshit.
votes are somehow, like invalid or shouldn't be counted or just like whatever. It's like,
That's bullshit.
yeah, dude, 100%. It is
Yeah.
like the most blatant voter suppression ever. Dude, that sounds like an authoritarian tactic. Like,
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I don't understand the people who don't see that. They're just like, yeah, you know, it
Mm.
fucking should be. If you're late, you're late. Like, what kind of an asshole? Like, we live in a democracy. We're supposed to. That's a cornerstone of American
This
values.
is like this is the new we live in we live in a society. We live in a democracy, bro.
Yeah, yes, democracy.
That's the
Yeah,
new society that we live in. A
yeah,
democracy, bro. Come on.
but it is, dude, it is supposed to be a real, like, no commas
Of
democracy.
course.
And the
No
fact that we're,
quotations.
right, the fact that we're even saying we won't count a vote that's going to last for 4, potentially 8 years, like, we won't count it a day or two late. Like,
We're all
what the
fucked
fuck?
up. We're all fucked up.
It makes no sense.
Why not just wait? This is like, why can't we wait? You know?
Yeah,
I said it to you the other day. I just wish we could stop getting tricked into thinking that there's two teams.
yeah,
Like, and if we just came together, you know, if the rich people sacrifice some of their fucking money,
yeah.
like, Jesus Christ, you have enough money. Like, I'm like so pro business and like being smart with your money, all that stuff. But it's like, oh my God, like, I don't know enough about it to speak in detail, so I probably shouldn't speak on it at all. But it's just like, if we can just get rid of that idea, like, let's just like we give some, like you give some, they give some, and then we're
Right.
working together. And I think that's to go back to that unity thing you were talking about. Like we're not like centrist, like, but we just want unity and like reasonable like process to happen so that our progress to happen so that like we can come together, like make the right choices. It just sucks that we just are so trapped in the way that we're are.
But dude, like the whole thing about like, oh, we want to invest in corporations so that we have trickle down economics, and that's what's going to feed us. It's like, no, you're
Mm.
giving like,
Mad money to the 1%.
yeah, that's it, and it's not coming
Yeah.
down to us. We're not going to get that sweet, sweet golden shower. Like, dude,
Yeah,
Rush
bro.
Limbaugh's got it wrong, man. Like, he
And
doesn't.
that's real, man. I think like, you know, it's not trickling down. It's a disaster. The money
Yeah,
is a disaster. I mean, it's horrifying. And that's what I was reminded of today when I was talking to Carolyn, because she was saying like, I was saying how, I think we're a little over the top with the whole like the coddling kind of thing with the snowflakes and that kind of thing. And she was just saying like, well, how, like, just like very matter of factly, and she was completely right. She was like, well, how privileged are you to fucking not care, dick? Like, and she would never say that. She would never say that the way that I just said it. She was like really nice about it, but like that's what she meant. And you did that to me in the last podcast too, and it's true. And like I still think like I semi still think like there is like a level of thick skin that is like required to be happy, but at the same time it's like, it's hard to like really decide like what's right. Like you don't know, like nobody really knows what's right.
That
Like,
also the big thing is like the whole somebody's like 10 versus somebody.
right. We talked about that too. Yeah.
Yeah, like for some people, the stuff that like they have gone through is at such an exaggerated degree to us where it's like we couldn't fathom it, but it is
Mm,
something that they're really worried about, and the rest of us can just go, oh, like fucking toughen up. But then the opposite is the
right.
case where there are some people who are using it for attention and shit. But
Mm,
then that goes back to the whole thing of people won't post something like that
yeah.
because then both sides hate you. So you're not in that
Right.
popular community. Like, dude, that's the grossest part about the internet. It's creating
Mm,
all of these subcultures that have their own popularity systems. So we like, not that I want like some kind of fascist monoculture, but like it certainly helps the country. Like,
yeah.
or
It's
just you know,
yeah.
I
It's
don't know.
so like what go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm not saying that we need cultural outsiders. We don't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
just saying this whole thing of attain popularity within your
Yeah.
specific subgroup is unproductive and dangerous.
It's such a step back.
You know,
It's such a step back. That's what we've always done as humans.
and
Like,
you know what that is though? That's the ego acting. It's
mm-hmm.
like if you are gonna be like a soulful or present person, like then you're not going to seek popularity within whatever kind of group you're in. You're just not going to fall into that kind of thinking because you're not seeking that kind of widespread approval.
It would
Whereas
blind you to the truth kind of thing.
exactly,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, like if you are like at peace with yourself and really get it, like you're just going to be like, oh, all right, I'm going to do what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to believe what makes sense with those values that I hold in high esteem.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my opinion now. It's not the
Yeah.
butter sheet. Like,
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. I completely agree.
you know,
Well
it's
said.
I think we got to like depart from this topic for a little bit.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I was thinking about this thing. Like, we're talking about we're hard at work on the playlist for
Yeah.
the podcast, but for the
Yeah.
revolution. Like,
Facts. The hippie revolution. That's what I was gonna say earlier, dude. We gotta start like that's the next party, bro. Hippie revolution party. Let's get it
right,
going.
right. Okay. So I was thinking about that the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, this isn't like this has happened before so many times.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like religion and everything. I had a
Yeah.
talk with my roommates about it, and um, like Christianity, it was like the original like hippie movement.
Mm-hmm.
The like that journey from like uh polytheistic religions where the gods are using you as like, oh, I'll just smite you, or like my wrath is like wrought
Mm-hmm.
on these people. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like this departure from it where it was like there's one God and it's all knowing and like all loving and it makes
Mm-hmm.
everything happen for a reason. That sounds so hippie. Like it sounds
Yeah.
so new age. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah.
At its basis. But then
Yeah,
if you
for
look at
sure.
like every religion, it's always been some kind of step further into the next thing or a
Mm-hmm.
perceived step further, where it has been a more progressive like take on their culture. Because like Christianity, like you're converting
Yeah.
barbarians and um, like Romans who were like crazy, crazy, crazy warlike
Mm-hmm.
into a more like loving kind of thing. And obviously the
True.
first like civilization that really did that, like the Byzantines were not these peaceful, unwarlike people, but that's what it was meant to be at first.
These these patterns that you see are just like the stone skipping across the water.
Yeah, it
Like
takes a little bit
from
to hit again.
polytheism to monotheism to belief in fucking Google as our savior. Like I don't know, like all those things. It's just such a like a hub. It's like the fucking peak of a graph in the timeline.
It's a sine wave. Yeah, it's just going and
Mm-hmm.
going and
And
going
it
and
just
going and going.
flows. It flows all the way through, and at every peak, there's just like a revolution,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so this goes back to what we were talking. I don't remember if it was episode 4 or the last episode. By the way, episode 6. Welcome everybody. I don't know how deep we are, but
I say it with great sadness that Nate and I were separated.
yeah,
We were separated. Nate had to head home. The campus, the shit hit the fan, and so we're over Zoom. I gotta tell you, I'm high enough. I feel like I'm right there with you, man.
yeah. I was gonna say it sucks not being able to have the walk beforehand because like I feel like that's when you just like energetically align. Yeah.
We go right in. We go whoop.
Yeah. It's whatever though. I feel like we're gonna make it work over Zoom for you guys. Like it's
100%.
yeah. Camera angles are gonna be fucked up, but that's whatever. Like
Probably a little bit, but bro, who knows? Like they might be able to hear us better. There might not be like flushing noises, They might
yeah,
fuck with it.
yeah. That's true. That's
It's
true.
tough not to be in the same room as you, but we'll get her done.
Yeah. But okay, so the last thing I want to say with this then is
Yeah.
the whole concept of Christianity as a cultural movement as well as a religious movement and
Mm.
how it is a hippieism in and of itself. Um, that speaks to the whole thing of coolness directs culture. So like
Mm.
at the time, Christianity was like this indie scene where it was like, oh, we're a new religion. Like our guy turns water into wine. We fucking party. Like, you know what I mean?
Like my house in Budapest, like fucking like I took a
Yeah.
pill and this like
Yeah. Yes.
off the chart shit.
Exactly. They're like,
Yeah.
we're cool. And dude, the Byzantines were like, yeah, dude, can we like party with you guys? And then they started building like, what is it? Like chapels and shit. Like
Kim Kardashian.
all I'm
Those are
saying.
like the powerful people of our time, bro.
Okay.
You
Yes.
see what I mean? Like people who
That's
have that much influence.
yeah. It's the whole thing about like this is cool at the time, so we're gonna get a ton of other people fucking on board with it, and it
Mm-hmm.
just happened to be in fashion for a while. Like, and that point about like Kim Kardashian, don't you think her and Kanye are kind of making religion cool again?
Yeah,
I don't have to
100%.
Yeah, I don't happen to be like a religious person really, but I'm sure that like some people are like, oh, we really fuck with that, and we're glad that like he's contributing in this way or whatever.
Man, yeah, I think like they definitely are making it kind of cool. And like that's why I said Kim Kardashian. Like imagine somebody who like controlled like the popular opinion at the time was Jesus when he spread the word of love that God loves you, right? And now we have like Kanye West like spreading the word of what? Like self-centeredness and like
Oh, God.
arrogance, but
Yeah.
also like community and happiness, like in such a wish-washy way. Like I feel like so many less. We also grew up in New England, or like grew up in the Northeast kind of area, so like we have less exposure to religion. Where like to the point where it's like I don't think that many people that I know are religious, but I know there's a lot of people like in other states that are religious, and it's like we're almost like like so like deeply into our culture and like watching what's happening in our culture that we're like our culture is the new religion that the people who aren't religious chose to follow.
Oh, oh, especially in the Northeast. A cult of
Don't you
Boston
think
sport.
so?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I kind of like that. Okay, we were just reading about this. Like, So in my human development class, we're talking about the effect of culture and religiosity on like different populations.
Mm-hmm.
And like right now, like in the West and like really developed countries, like as you're talking about, young people do not fuck with that at all. They're like, forget religion, it's out. Like
Yeah,
it's really not popular. And like
it's so unpopular.
the US is like one of the most religious developed countries. It's the most religious.
Wow, really?
And yeah, like 82% of people from like a 2006 study talked about how they believed in some kind of God or spiritual entity that was like their
Mm.
deity or whatever. Um, so this was saying that like a lot of young people are left looking for some kind of belief system if they don't tack on to those traditional beliefs, and that will manifest. And the textbook cited like spirituality or like yoga or stuff like that, but um, I think that's an exclusive answer. Like I think you're right about like the society thing, because think about
Mm-hmm.
how much people get into like YouTubers now, or really specific like niches within like online communities. Like
Yeah,
that's exactly it. It's like, this is my community now. Like I'm not going to church. I'm going,
I'm going to
well,
TikTok.
yeah, right, right. It's their
I'm
virtual.
going to fucking cooking TikTok. I'm going to fucking, therapy TikTok. I'm going to like, dude, and it's so real. Like that's who we choose. Like the amount of time and energy that somebody would put into a religion, we're putting tenfold into a culture.
Yeah.
And think
And
about like
way more participation too. Like,
way more participation. And like it's so much more because of like the chemical dependence that people, or I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but like the dependence people have on their phone, like the serotonin thing, like it's like religion. It's like following a subculture is
yeah,
like a religion, but you're actually addicted to it.
right, right.
And so it's impossible. How do you beat that? And if you're not participating in it, what are the consequences? Because there are consequences for not participating. Like if you don't get it, what's going on, you're out. Like people don't want to hear what you have to say. Like
Yeah,
if you're not consuming the same culture as them. Like I do this with Kay. She watches fucking Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Can't stand that show.
yeah.
Can't stand it. I fucking hate that show, but I can see why people want to watch it, right? Every time I come down, Kim Kardashian's on the screen, and I go, "Who's that?" And Kay gets pissed every time. She's such a trooper. Like I just shit on her. Like I'm just like, "Who's that?" Kim K. It's like, dude, if you don't like, and then like in a real world situation, if I was at like I don't know, like at my job and like I was in front of somebody who showed me something and I was like, "Who's that?" And I didn't know who Kim K was, that might actually be a problem.
You think?
I don't know, like just not being aware. And then it's just like how the technology forces you to use it. Like Kim
No.
K might be a bad example of like, but just like not being like woke with like what's going
Right.
on.
Well, dude, okay, that's the dangerous thing about these political movements going viral. Like,
Yeah.
if that's your community all of a sudden, like, we're never gonna get there. Because like, I don't know, if different anime fandoms can't get along, how
Yeah.
are two like political like fandoms
God.
gonna get along?
What a sad but true point.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Depressing.
Ugh,
We can do it though. I know we can do it. I just think we just need to get each other more, man. We don't get each other.
yeah.
No one understands. Like there's such simple truths that like there's so many simple truths that define and like build the rules excuse me, the rules of the world that we live in, like
Yeah.
being like just like, and more specifically understanding people, like understanding how somebody um acts due to the way that they are in their mind. Like why don't we understand each other better? And like why don't I get it when someone's being a dick that they just hate themselves? Like, and it has nothing to do with me.
But you do get it. Like,
Maybe I do, but like, why don't more people? But I get it. Yeah, I get it, but I don't get it all the time. I don't have the patience to get it every time.
That's okay. That's the thing. I think
But why not?
most people get it, but it's not something that you're used to practicing because that's the whole thing about like taking in love and giving out love. Or I'm
Mhm.
sorry, taking in hate and giving out love. Because if
Yeah.
you can be so stable that you can like withstand that emotional onslaught, because like people can say what they want, you can be as tough as you want. Like toughness doesn't work because like if you get enough hate, the
Hmm.
same way like if you could be really tough, really strong, but like if you get too much weight on your squat bar, you're probably gonna fall. Like it's
Mm.
not like a good thing to just be tough because eventually there could be too much weight. Like it's way better to be able to convert that into like something else.
Anything
So
else.
yeah, but it's literally just a thing of people need to get there. And like
Yeah, for
we're on
sure.
this journey of trying to get there, but like not everybody's even started. Some people are farther back than others. Some people have trauma
Right.
that's not addressed that like is fucking them up in that regard. Like it's sad. It's
They're
sad.
blissfully unaware
Yeah, yeah,
in the truest form, man. And it's easy to be like that. It's easy to be, you know, ignorant.
yeah.
That's the easy way out. It's imagine how like, and that's sometimes like that's kind of interesting thought actually. Like if I am always ignorant, like in like not ignorant, but just if I'm always like, let's just pretend like I was always completely 100% ignoring a problem. Like
Right, right, right.
that's like such a fucking cop out.
Yeah, because it's
Like
like just because it doesn't affect you,
it's
like
nothing. Right. That's such a
right.
fucking like shortcut.
Yeah,
That's not really happy. Like you're
right.
not really happy if you
That's dude. That's how I feel like a lot. I know I'm totally straying from like the whole unification thing, but I feel like a lot of far right conservatives think that way. Of I'm
yeah.
not going to
Oh
vote for
yeah.
this because I'll be better off and I don't have to worry about that problem because I'll be so well off it won't affect
Yeah, 100%. Why wouldn't that's just human nature,
me.
bro.
Right.
All you need to do is win because all we need to do is live.
Right, but you got to break your biology because we're past just
100%.
a natural physical state. Yeah.
That's what we're both saying, and this is just like, why can't we figure it out? Like, but we
Right.
can, but it's just gonna take time, man. And like people, like I think, like a catalyst to figuring it out is
Uh-huh.
just like love and empathy are so contagious. How much more likely um are you to be patient with some dickhead on the street if earlier you and I talk and I like compliment you about something that I like about you? Like
Right.
you are more empathetic and more loving to everyone that you talk to. Like it just every interaction that person has is so much different after that. Like you
Yeah.
have the ability to affect people in such a small, like unnoticeable way, like in the way that you perceive it, and then the way that your subconscious like absorbs and digests it. It's like so beautiful to just be like, if I could just be nice to this person, think about how many people he could be nice to.
That's true. That's true.
But why don't we get it? Like
Because
it's
that, dude,
hard
that's
to
so
remember.
hard to do. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
hard.
it's so it is. It is.
That's
You
why.
have the energy for that, but I think you get
Right.
better at it with practice, right? Like
I do think so, but I
people
do
do that all
worry
the
that
time.
some people don't have the energy for that because of issues that exist right now that don't
Mhm.
allow them to have the energy for it. You know what I mean? Like for some people, maybe if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you do not have the mental energy to be nice. And I know that's a fucked up, like maybe like giving them like the free out of jail free card on that. But um, I feel like it's this thing of if you are already struggling, like, oh my God, I'm so stressed because I don't know how I'm going to get rent or feed my kids. Like you're probably not going to have the time to like do like self-care or
Yeah.
take care of your mental health or see a therapist or
Yeah.
like really think about how you're affecting other people. Um,
Yeah. And I think that kind of too, though, is like, this is the battle I've been having in my head, right? So now I'm going to bring everyone like for a fucking hawk's eye view of the war that's happening in my head where like I've been raised to look at that you just said and say, that sounds like the world's happening to you and you're not happening to the world. Like, and just be like, fuck you, man. Like, you could figure it out too. Like, you could figure it out like me. And then that's one army. And then the other army in my head, in this hawk's eye view of the war that's going on, is like, fuck you because you don't know shit. Like,
Right.
and so, like, that kind of thing where it's like, okay, like, maybe it's both, but like, you know, like you
I
said
think
before.
it's a balance of both without being centrist. It's taking the best from both spaces.
Yeah.
Because on the right is the compassion, but on the left is the ambition. And it's this thing of like you should, you know, you can be aware of something without totally suffering from it. And I think that's the best way to be. Because if you're aware of the fact that that's happening, you don't have to have that war of which side's going to win out. It's just, okay, I know this now. It's added to my like codex of knowledge. You
Right.
know, I can pick this book up whenever I want.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I have this idea that, you know, you shouldn't let things just happen to you. You should try to do the best in every
Mm-hmm.
situation. So you can combine it for, you know, you've done your best,
And
but there's some issues that need to be addressed now.
yeah. Yeah, agreed. You gotta make it there. You gotta keep the war going. Like without the war, there is no progress, right? So it's like if I don't consider both sides of everything, then what am I really gaining? I'm gaining a one-sided, false, profited version of the truth,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
right, exactly.
And fuck that. I'd way rather just be confused and have war than pretend that I'm on one side.
Dude, okay, but like the fun thing about war is either everybody dies or both sides make peace. So it's like when you're having that war in your head, are you
Mm.
really gonna say, I'm like, it has to be constant warfare and there has to be violence between these two sides and one has to win out. Like it should just be like it's quicker if they just make peace. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, you can have like both of those views and just have
Yes.
yeah. And I know you do that with a lot of issues,
Hmm.
but like I do find it like it is difficult because sometimes it's easy to fall into one side,
Yeah.
especially something that's like a new idea you haven't given much thought, whatever.
Right. Right. When you're just making a snap decision on it. And,
Yeah.
and then you say something and someone's like, well, have you considered this? And you're like, no. And like, if I had considered that, I wouldn't have said shit. Like, it'd be
Yeah.
better if I just didn't say anything just now.
Yeah.
And that's what I find the most like, I don't know. Like, I'm definitely not great at it, but like, I just try not to talk about shit I don't know about. Like,
Yeah.
some things I feel passionately about and I'll talk on them. Like, mindset and just like the way that you perceive the world is so important and that kind of thing. Like I've been lucky enough to like think the same way my whole life about it, but like other shit, like notice like we don't go into politics that much. We've been talking about it a lot this podcast, but like not details. And like I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you because I don't
Right.
know what I'm talking about. Like, and that's an important distinction to make. Like I can feel a certain way about something, but until you take time to research and understand something better, like there's no way I'm going to sit here and tell you that I disagree with you and that you're wrong on something that I don't know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
like, it's almost like if you're woke, you'll know what you're talking about, regardless if you really do. You better look like you do. Like, if you're
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, let's just pretend that everyone knows everything because they have a fucking Twitter degree. And
Right.
now there's madness ensuing because everyone thinks they're right.
But that's the I think that's the good thing about the way that like um at least a lot of other people communicate like we do. But I think this thing of where we trade virtues and not
Mm-hmm.
like distinct facts that may have happened or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
think the more important thing is trading those virtues because at the end of the day, absolutely everybody wants the best for the country and for
Right.
them and whatever, regardless of belief in, in almost all cases. There are
That's a
some
pretty
true,
optimistic way to look at it, bro.
well, that's what I'm saying. I'm a cynical idealist. At
Yeah,
first, I'm an idealist, but I'm just
yeah.
disappointed. Like, because there is
Idealist is such a negative way to say optimist. Come on. If you were more optimistic, you wouldn't be calling yourself an idealist. If you were more optimistic about the definition of the word idealism.
I know. And
But that's
that's
where
where the
you're at.
cynicism comes in. That's where the pessimism comes in. Like, no.
Well, dude, listen, fucking scratch and claw, baby. You can make it.
I low key, I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's not the worst thing because it's one of those things where it's like in the past it's fucked me to a large degree. But I feel like now I feel like I can take in things and it's just okay, now I'm just aware of that. I'm adding it to my personal library, whatever, but I'm
Mhm.
just not gonna let it affect me right now. And
That's
it's not
good.
because I don't care. It's not because even if it is something that is immediately affecting me, I'm still just going to go, well, I'm just conscious of this, so it has to be dealt with, but I'm not going to let it affect me.
You're not going to ignore it. You're going to understand and accept that it's there, but at the same time, that's not fucking you up.
Right, right. This exam on Friday does not define me for a week. You know
Mm,
what I mean? It's just something that needs to be done.
yeah.
So I
It,
feel like I feel like that mindset, like
mhm.
we need to adopt something along those lines. Like,
Yeah.
dude, okay, I saw this thing today.
Hmm.
Um, I want your opinion on this because I saw this thing called toxic positivity on yeah, I saw it on I think I saw it on Reddit and it was like talking about oh, there's like, people with this goes back to the mental health thing. Those of you who are suffering from depression or anxiety, don't let these like good vibes only, like toxic positivists um talk you out of valid experiences. And it was just like, oh, dude, you don't fucking get it, man. Like,
Yeah, that sucks. On the
yeah,
highest level, that sucks.
but it's that community we were talking about, and they're
Yes.
trying to get popular within that community.
It's the shield we were talking about, bro. They're hiding behind the shield of their own insecurity because it's easier to just be
Right.
insecure and say fuck you than it is to fix yourself.
But
Fuck
imagine being so broken that you go to that entire community and you're just like, guys, I don't want you to work on yourselves or admit any of these things might be things that you could have more agency in. Like, rather, like, I'm going to damage all you guys further.
Let's
It's
just
so
wage
dangerous.
war. Let's just wage war instead. That'd be way easier.
Yeah.
Negative energy.
Yeah.
What's up with negative energy, dude? It's like in fucking Star Wars or like Avatar, bro, with the Fire Nation. It's like negative energy just has so much flow.
It's because it feels right. It's the
It's
like
a cop
easy,
out.
it's a cop out, right? But it's so hard to break your biology, and that's something we've
Right.
talked about a lot. But
Hmm.
that's something
So
like
true.
right as we're evolving, negative energy is the thing that makes us warlike. It makes us conquer. It makes us get more food. It allows us to reproduce, carry on a line. It's
Keep
what's
going.
intrinsically like fulfilling for us. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's so
Right.
hard not to do.
No, 100%. Yeah. It just,
This is why we need to do like just dose the population with like acid
yeah, man.
because
Just get everybody right.
yeah, everybody would understand. Like, it's not about like
Maybe we
the
would.
minutiae stuff. Think about the broad policies. Think about the broad issues. Like, you know, take a little bit of both. Like, there's a
Dude.
reason the yin yang is a traditional, universal, and powerful symbol. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, it is a rule for life.
Yeah. It's everything that we believe in. The yin yang is every single fucking thing that we really understand when I tell you something, you tell me something, and there's like a level of like the highest degree that I think that I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Everything that we're that level on is encompassed by just that yin yang. Just like
Right.
why like here we are, two halves of a whole, and there's a little bit of me and you, and there's a little bit of you and me. Like
Right.
just it's the most simple and perfect way to put it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it just needs to be implemented.
Dude, you know what? Ugh, this is such a douchey way, and this goes against like all my beliefs, but I love that yin yang symbol, but I wish it looked cooler because that would be the perfect merch for like a shirt with like that symbol. It's totally rating, but
Make it look cool. It's totally what?
I feel like it's like cultural rating.
Yeah, it might be, but listen, we don't like. I think the important thing is like, as long as we're true to like our symbol of what we would think that we represent, dude, then that's all that matters. Like, I think you and I really believe in that shit. Like,
Yeah.
and I think if anyone is affected by something, then they have a right to promote it. You
I
know?
guess that's true. Yeah.
Why
I guess
not,
that's
right?
true.
Like, why wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's probably like overused or like, not ours. It's like not a part of our culture,
Right. Right.
but like it's something that we're affected by, so like maybe
Yeah.
somebody else would be affected positively by it as well if we used it.
That is an optimistic ass like perspective. And I will say this, like what you're saying made total sense, and I agree with that, and that's how people should think about it.
Yeah,
But another part of me knows that that's not how it's going to be perceived by a lot of
we're going
people.
to be appropriating. Is that what it's going to be?
I think so. A little, un poquito.
I don't love the idea of that, dude. I feel like, well, if we're scared of letting them appropriate us or like letting them define us as appropriation, then we're losing.
I know. I know.
We can't
Well,
win, like, well, fuck them. I don't know. I think what's most important is like you and I know what we think, what we believe in, so to speak, for now until that changes. And like that's just a genuine message that we're trying to send out, like, and anything after that, any speculation after that, it's like we can't even really worry about that.
you're right. It's impossible to wrestle with.
We won't
I
win.
mean,
That's a war you don't win.
right, right. Yeah. Dude, this revolution that we're talking about, like, we're trying to put out more, like, I don't know, some kind of content related to it. Like, I don't know, kind of make something out of it, right?
We're making a playlist.
We're making the playlist, yeah.
That's what we were going to talk about when you introduced episode 6.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
We lost that, but that's what you're going to say. Playlist is in action, yo.
yeah.
We're probably going to, it's on Apple Music right now. We'll probably throw it on Spotify too, just for accessibility reasons. Excuse me. But yeah, we just went through, just picked out a couple songs that we thought were like, we'll probably do like a cloudy sort of playlist as well. But it just hit me this morning.
Oh,
I was like, maybe people
for sure.
would want it. Like if we're going to start a hippie revolution,
Yeah,
maybe we should be like exploring a musical metaphor, like a battlefield, so to speak, where
yeah,
we employ the music of the most beautiful ideas of our generation and past generations to wage war on that is separate from the human, like the human drive and being,
yeah, yeah. Like this whole thing of like, okay, so we took some of like probably like what, like an hour or two's worth of songs from each person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shit that like we specifically focus like Hale started this. He goes, "Yo, like we gotta do this." I'm like, "Oh fuck!" Like,
It's called
so
Join the Revolution.
yeah, he threw some heat in the beginning of it. And then we're gonna mix it around so that we make sure like it flows and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be good. Like,
Yeah.
especially like if you understand what like these artists stand for and everything. Like, hopefully people can glean meaning from that.
Yeah.
Um,
It might be like a little all over the place. Like I was thinking
yeah,
about throwing some old school rap, like Biggie and Tupac, how they come from the opposite sides and that kind of shit. Like kind of interpret it as you will. Like we're probably gonna just throw in like Nate's gonna have a lot of more like rock and roll kind of options, just like older music, and I'll probably have a little bit more of like the old new rap music like kind of thing, and just like the general idea when before we pick a song is like, for me, I was thinking about it today, just like um something that provokes people to be like the better version of themselves, like a
yeah,
song that like sings that tune,
right.
that's something that we want on the playlist, because like you can listen to that shit and be like, okay, like I could be a better person because of this song.
Right. Yeah. Dude, I was listening to it this morning, like while I was doing like
Really?
yeah, I was doing my pull day today. I'm trying to get the home gym working out. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
um,
smart.
Yeah, things like we have low cases in our county. It's like 1.8%, but it's
You're,
still like I know it's really low. Yeah, parents are tweaking. They're just like, we don't want to do it. So I'm like, all right, I
yeah.
get like you guys are public school teachers. I don't want to like,
Yep.
you know, make it weird for you with like employment.
Yeah.
So um yeah, I was listening to like that playlist and I was like, fuck, like this is getting me like such like I feel like I'm in such like a positive flow state right now. Like,
No way.
yeah, really good mindset.
That's so sick. I'm so glad you said that. That made me so happy. Dude, music does it. We talked about it on the last
Yeah.
podcast, bro. It does it. It gets you there. Like,
I think like if a few other people like we're probably are we gonna have it on our YouTube or just Instagram?
well, we can throw a link to the Apple Music and Spotify playlist on the YouTube description.
Oh, all right, easy
Link
money.
in
So
description
yeah,
below.
it'll be everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think some people fuck with it, but
Hopefully. Yeah. I think that'll be nice. I think it'll be a good way to just like kind of put some art towards our beliefs, like
yeah,
that's how we're most impacted,
yeah, dude. Okay, revisiting like what we were trying to do with like podcast going forward. Do we want to talk about the experiment for this week? Like,
Yeah. Do you mind though if I just rip a quick piss really quick?
I really have to too. Can
Perfect.
we have it keep recording and then just cut this out?
We won't even touch it. Yeah.
All
I'll
right.
be right back, bro. All right. Nate's not back yet, but he will be soon. How's everybody doing? Just like take a minute to thank our sponsors. We got who's sponsoring us these days? Let's see. We got no sponsors, but we'll get sponsors. We're pretty certain about that. Yo, Nate.
What?
Thank God you were back, bro. I was just talking to myself.
What?
I was just talking to myself. Thank God you came back, bro. It's getting weird.
Oh, where the fuck did I do? Sorry, I had to like tootle down the hallway.
Dude, you're good. I feel so much better, man.
Yeah, that was killing me. I
Thank God.
I was trying to hold it as long as humanly possible.
Oh, dude. All right. So the experiment, it's been a week, right? And we're gonna post. We're behind on posting, but we'll post tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, about our experiment, like we're a week ahead or whatever. But um the tape.
Yeah. Um, like we've been doing like the whole breath book, the like advisement of okay, put like 2 strips of tape over your mouth and it should help you breathe out of your nose more. So we're like, all right, well, like we read this dude's smart as fuck. Let's see like if we can really do it.
Yeah.
So no lie, we realized the like fault in our logic the other day. Um, we didn't do a control week for this. So we only have the experimental group, but we also didn't record like quantitatively at all. So it's all kind of
Right.
just our opinions on it. So like, hopefully you guys can glean a little bit of like, something from that.
We
But
might really not gain much from this
yeah,
experiment, but I will tell you this: we're a week ahead, so I can tell you, like, when you're seeing this now, you will have already had the opportunity to check out our journals for the past week. We kind of fucked it up, but I did do a night that I forgot to tape up, just forgot. And that was like a controlled day, so like not great, but like better than nothing.
right.
And I woke up with slight headache. I started doing the tape, so I don't know if you guys can see. I actually have red marks on my face right now. I got to get some like better tape for my skin, but I'm chapped up. But yeah, so I did the first day with the tape. Second day, forgot the tape. And like when you're doing something every night, you don't realize like what the effects of it are because you do it every day. So it's part of your normal day. But after one night of taping and then the next morning, I noticed so much more that I always wake up with, and I did the day after with no tape, a little bit of a headache, a little bit of a sore throat. My mouth is dry. I have bad like breath. And like the book we were reading told us, like in other cultures, it's common too. like in Asian cultures, it's common to call a kid out for breathing through his mouth. Like
Right.
in, I forget what other culture, the book said it's common for people to put pillows under people's chins on when they're kids, when they're sleeping, so that their mouth doesn't open and they only breathe through
Yep.
their nose. Yeah, that was part of the book that he was talking about. And so it's like using these tactics, so to speak, to be like, okay, like what can we do? We tape our mouth shut. So we're like trying this out because the book was so fascinating, and yeah, it worked. Like I noticed that like when you breathe through your nose, the air is moisturized and warmed up, and your lungs are easier to take it. And I noticed that I was more well rested. I was like, I didn't have a dry mouth. I didn't have bad breath. Like,
Yeah.
oh, no, my bad. I'm rambling.
No, no, no. You're good. You're good. I'm just saying, like, well, I experienced very similarly to you. Like, I used to get headaches in the morning, and I still got them,
Mm-hmm.
but they subsided a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Big thing was no sore throat, because normally it's like I'll wake up and it's like, oh, if I don't get water in my system right now, I'm gonna die. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But
Thirsty as fuck.
doing like the tape, it's like, okay, I don't really have to deal with this anymore. Like, and that
Yeah.
was huge. I felt like I could eat something in the morning.
Mm.
And then like I already had good energy. I was just getting better energy throughout the day because I was actually eating in the morning. Like,
Right. It
you
just
know,
affects so many different things. Like the way you feel when you wake up is supposed to be like, like that's such a big indicator of how your day is going to be. And
yeah,
so it's interesting. Like I've been telling people, and like I get it. Like sounds crazy taping your mouth before you go to bed. Like and like you'll see if you see it on Instagram if you have seen it all. Like check it out if you haven't. Like we just do like two pieces of tape kind of thing. Like at least I do like a piece of tape here, a piece of tape here, and like
yeah,
you can breathe out of your side of your mouth if you need it. Like it's not dangerous, but it's just funny how like people that I tell are like that sounds stupid. Like that sounds like a bad idea, and
right.
it's
It's
like,
not like you're gonna suffocate yourself. Like,
yeah, right. Like, oh,
yeah,
I think that sounds unsafe. It's just like, okay, but like it sounds like you're scared of doing it. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, why are you scared? Like, let's do it. Let's try it out. And so like that's what we're hoping that you guys have like kind of maybe might want to do after you hear what we think about it. Like it's just fun. Like it's like, let's try this shit out. Maybe it's gonna make us better. Like maybe we're gonna improve from this. And like you've said it too, like you feel like your breath is like talk about like your breath, like your intake of oxygen and how the smoothness of it is.
yeah. I definitely. Well, it's fucked up because of the vaping a little bit, but
Mhm.
I do feel like, especially in the mornings, I'm not like stumbling over breathing. Like,
Yeah.
I've noticed for a lot of time, it's like I'll breathe in and it's like it feels like I'm passing these like filters where it's like da 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 da, and then
Mm.
like when I was doing the taping, like I'm not gonna lie, I did stop like ever since I got home, like after our week,
Yeah.
just been like
Yeah.
no tape, but I've noticed a dip for sure. Like, um, I don't
Yeah.
feel as good in the morning. I don't feel like wakeful. I can tell that like my breathing feels fucked up, whereas before it
Mhm.
was like the smooth inhale, like I could feel my lungs more. Yeah.
Dude, and be honest, like I'm not gonna be offended. Like, are you convinced enough after the experiment to continue to do it? Like, it sounds
Yeah.
like maybe not because you haven't been doing it, but you've been noticing the effects.
I want to. I don't have a T tape here, and I was borrowing my roommate's AT tape for it, so I just got to get out and get some. It's me being lazy, but it is like, me sharing this experience isn't shitting on the like actual benefits of it
Right.
because I do think it is really helpful. And
Yeah. No,
you know,
I get you.
in a perfect world, if I could just breathe like only through my nose,
Yeah.
when like I just do that. But
Yeah.
you think like, you know, if you guys want to try it, 2 strips over the mouth, do it for 3 days, see how
Yeah.
it goes. What's that?
This is what I use is just adhesive tape. Like you put it at the end of like a wrap for your
Oh,
kind of shit, I think. And obviously I got a little corrosion on my fucking face, but um, you know, it works pretty good. But yeah, no, Nate, I hear you. And like, dude, I think it's something that's like it's not the end of the world, but it's interesting to think, like the book talks a lot about the muscles around your diaphragm and how you can basically train them to elongate their contractions and like I don't know if contractions is the right word, but just like you can control like the strength of the muscles around your diaphragm, then you can control your breathing like to a new degree. And that's kind of like a big part of the breathing exercise at the end of the book. And so like breathing through your nose, it's interesting when you tape your mouth shut, that's forced nose breathing, which is supposed to be good.
Right.
And the time goes by like this. That's however many hours, it could be 8 or 9 hours of nose breathing.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, and you just, if you read this book called Breath by James Nestor, you'll know that, like, that much, like, any breathing through your nose is beneficial. So imagine breathing for an 8 or 9 hours through your nose. Like,
Yeah.
so good for
It's
you.
free training. It's like free gym time for breathing.
Imagine going to the gym while you were asleep and you don't remember going. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's for the muscles in your sinuses. The muscles are in your nose and around your nose that help you to breathe more fully, like, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's what he was saying. I think that's true. Like, if people, like, I don't know, if you're
Bro,
apprehensive, just give it a fucking try. It's 3 days. Like,
just don't be a pussy. Just do it.
dude, what are we gonna do for our next like experiment? Like, let's make this a weekly thing. Like,
Yeah. Well, we talked about going into like a negative flow state.
yeah, yeah,
That's some heavy shit, but well, you would go into a positive flow state.
you gotta go
In this
negative.
version of into maybe an optimistic flow state. So last podcast, if you didn't hear, we talked about the idea of a flow state where your subconscious mind is driving the car and you don't really have control over what you're saying, but your brain is like spewing its beliefs out into
Yeah.
words when you're really not in control of what you're saying. That kind of thing. We called it a flow state. That and so like we were wondering and we're hoping to experiment with the idea of being in the flow state of like a mental health flow state, like a positive or not positive, maybe not mental health, but just like a flow state where you're channeling a certain emotion. That's what I meant to say.
Right. We wanted to like do the other person's like mindset, their respective flow state.
So like
So,
I'm like for a week I would be realistic and like you would be optimistic. And like or like we could do the extremes of our like not how we're actually feeling but like do the extremes of our emotions, so like you would be like extremely positive and I'd be like extremely depressed, whereas like I know we're both like somewhere in between those two things.
right. I don't think we should do that because I think it'll be easier to do that. I think it'll be harder to flip it up. Um, just because it's like, you know, if I'm already used to like squatting a lot, I should probably like, and if I'm
Yeah.
all I'm doing is squatting a lot, I should probably go into a different exercise.
Oh, I feel you. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. Like we do opposites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to be comfortable being cynical and like pessimistic for like,
I don't think you're. I think that that's what we talked about in the last podcast. Like, we're not supposed to be comfortable with it, but like once you do it, then you get to better. Like, that's a bridge to understanding your brain, and I would be at a deeper level with you.
yeah, yeah.
That's the point of doing this. What was the
I
first
think
option we were talking about?
the what?
The first option, not what I just said, but before that.
Uh,
All right.
wait, the
Fuck.
one that you had proposed?
I can't remember. Yeah, I think so. Oh no, the
You
one
had
you
said,
proposed. The one you proposed.
I don't think I'd come up with anything yet. I was just wondering if there was like, you mean in terms of like other experiments we could do?
Yeah, just the way to measure our experiment. But no, I think we're my bad, dude. I just got us so off track. We're good. We're good. I was just thinking like, how are we gonna do it? Like you and I are gonna like switch like flow states. So like I'm like, are we doing emotion or are we doing like worldview? That's I guess the question.
I
At least
don't
that's what
know.
we were talking
I don't
about.
know. It doesn't have to, I feel like you can have, well, it's tough, right? Yeah, because you're right. Worldview does shape emotions, but if you can try and just channel, like, rather than, like, we should think of it as a lens. this lens that we're putting over everything, and just like I'm going to shift mine to the positive filter, you try to
Mm-hmm.
shift yours to the like pessimistic filter.
Yeah.
um and like if we can get into that flow state, I think we'll notice when it happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um and are we going to do just like, you know, force of will, or like can we use music or something like that?
Oh, definitely we should use music. So
Right.
what kind of music would you use if you were gonna be
Like alternative stuff, uh like head in the heart type things, or like hound mouth, or like
like Float On by Modest Mouse?
oh yeah, yeah,
That's
like
on
that
that
there.
playlist.
Yeah,
That song's sick. So what would I listen to? Like more like depressive or like more just like negative or like what do you mean? Like
yeah,
what am I listening to? What's my thing that I'm channeling?
like negative pessimist, like pessimism,
Pessimism.
or
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I just don't
just
want to like offend you while we're making these decisions.
no, dude,
Okay.
like don't worry about
I
that.
don't want you to
Like,
be like, fuck, this kid thinks like I hate everything because I don't think you think
no,
that. Okay.
no, I know you don't. I know you
Okay.
don't. Like, um,
Yeah. All right. So yeah, dude, I have like, I actually do that sometimes, like very rarely. Like I listen to like NF. I don't know if you listen to NF because he's a rapper, probably you don't, but he's
no,
just,
you talked about him before though.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
that kind of thing. Okay. Yeah. Let's definitely use music as a tool.
right, right, right. So you listen to some sad boy shit, and that might help, or just like really like, I don't know. There's some punk stuff that will make you just be like, oh fuck everything. Like,
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Some
uh,
grungy shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Mhm.
um, and I'll just listen to like positive stuff.
Andy Grammer. You're gonna want to.
I was just thinking, dude, I was just thinking of like, who's like an absurdly positive? Andy Grammer is a nice ass answer.
Gotta keep your head up. By Andy Grammer.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So fun.
No, I'm gonna figure something out that just works for me. It'll probably be like
Yeah.
really like energetic rock or something. Dude, I saw this thing today that was saying that your musical preference can actually impact the way that you like view the world.
I could not agree more, dude. That makes so much sense.
Do you believe? I don't know if I believe that totally. Like, I mean, I will say, I feel like people, it's tough because like I really like rock. Like I feel like the people who I talk to that also really like rock, they're either similar to me, or
Mhm.
they're like really, really like redneck.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, don't you think that that genre that you enjoy, like really, like that true medium of art where, it's digestible by so many people and like you can express yourself in such a raw form of emotion where like just so much more in depth than the way that words can express how you feel or actions even just like music is such a deep way to express how you feel like
yeah,
doesn't that give you a sense of like understanding of that kind of perception of the world like that
yeah,
speaks to you in so much more of a like truthful way like no like gates and doors up in front of it like how maybe politics would be like politics presented by your parents might have gates and doors up in front of it where it's like but like music speaks to you in a way that's like there's no filter it's just what
right,
that person was thinking in just in the most creative medium that they could like pull together, right? So it's
yeah, yeah,
instead of somebody convincing you, it just speaks to you. Like
yes, yeah,
it's beautiful. Like that's why I love music. So like Mac Miller will give me this perspective of like, you know, um I don't know, negativity, like just like weight. Like he gives me this
yeah.
perspective of how it feels to feel heavy and like and have your mind be like clogged down and then like some other artists will like I just think that's the best thing about music. I think our generation is so obsessed with music because I think it's like such a good way to feel like how
Right.
you're feeling.
Yeah, man. Especially like the whole thing of like this weird kind of like fucked up stoicism now where it's like don't feel like
Yeah.
mm. I think what you're saying rings super, super true. Like
Mhm.
music is that window, like and for so many people it is that touchstone. That's why that was such a contentious question for like this experiment. Can we use music? Because that's so powerful for changing
Yeah.
like states of mind. Like, what do you think about this whole thing of and I'm guilty of it too, but when people are feeling sad, like listening to really sad music, like saying, oh, it's a form of therapy. It feels like I'm releasing this kind of
Mm.
like experience that I don't actually have to feel in real life, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's a big argument for why rap music is important because people will say that like rap music allows a kid to deal with their frustrations by listening instead of by doing the thing that that artist did to deal with their frustrations,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah. It's not just rap. I think that's every genre of
yeah,
music to some degree.
absolutely. Every single genre, every single genre. Of course. Think about all of the young Disney women pop stars that turned into like crazy, like sexualized figures for a couple years. Like,
Right.
bro, like everyone is just like fighting against that, like,
Yeah.
but I think that music is just so, it might be the most influential medium, like, of art.
I
Maybe
think it
more
is. I
so
think
than
it is.
movies, which would be like the second most, I don't know, maybe the second most influential. Like music is insane.
Yeah. Dude,
I
there's
promise that's
this
not answer your question though.
I think that does answer the question right there.
Okay. Okay.
Like I there's this one band
Hmm.
that I like got really into when they first started off. I'm sure you've heard me talk about them before. Greta Van Fleet, they're like
Yeah, you love Greta Van Fleet. Yeah.
love them for
They're
some
dope.
reason. They're
Yeah.
they're pretty good. They're pretty good. They get a lot of flack for like, oh, they're just like Zeppelin clones or whatever. But it's like,
Yeah.
fuck you. So was Rush. Like they just
Everything is a
find
clone of everything. We're
exactly.
this
They're
podcast.
finding their voice. Yeah. Yeah.
Truest form of flattery.
Right. So like they had this their second album was
Mhm.
called Anthem of the Peaceful Army. And there's this one
Sounds sick to me, bro.
there's this song at the end of it
Hmm.
called Anthem, and it's talking about their whole philosophy related to it. And
Hmm.
dude, I was doing some research for the playlist this morning, and I listened back to that, and I was like, "Fuck me! This is
Really?
this is the revolution we want."
Damn.
Yeah,
So it's already been prophesized, so to speak.
I think people for eternity, ever since the first society was established,
I've always
we've
wanted
been thinking like we have. The problem is it's never really been at like the forefront
this.
of different movements.
Mhm.
It has different points, but we need that right now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
there's
I-
multiple people at work, but they're also not a big band.
Right. Right.
Like they're not huge. I mean they tour and everything. Like I've seen them twice in concert. They're so fucking good live.
Mm.
Like uh
Yeah.
I it's this thing though, like they're not huge, so they can't create a whole like revolution. And if
Mhm.
that's just one song, it's like unless you follow their like Instagram, like you're not gonna get what else they stand for. Then like yeah. So it's all just small voices right now.
Right. Right. A million tiny voices screaming.
Yeah. Dude,
That's what it is.
if we get a million tiny voices, that would be amazing. Like, dude,
Amazing.
and it doesn't have to be through this podcast. It doesn't have to be through Greta Van Fleet. It can just be people coming to their senses and understanding.
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't have to be about us creating.
yeah,
Just that our egos have nothing to do with it. It just has to do with the fact that like humans have the ability to be like screaming with each other instead of against each other,
yeah, yeah.
Like
I
if
do.
we could all scream together, it would solve everything. I
Yeah,
just it'd be that'd be it. We wouldn't have to worry about a damn thing anymore ever again. We could just figure it out. Like, and I don't know. I think it's really interesting how the like mind is affected by different forms of art. Like, people could go to an art gallery and like, I don't know, 5% of the population might really love that. And like people could go to a movie, and that's probably like, 50 or 60% of the population. And music is probably around that same number. But there's so many other mediums of art where it's like, yeah, photography, I don't really fuck with it. It's fine. Like, but just like
But
the ones that have the most influence, like, do you think that means like most people are visual
I don't know. I don't know.
or like
I,
auditory, like not like,
well, I think it's like this whole thing of like our temporal lobe is hooked up to so many different things in our brain.
mm-hmm.
Like it's so close to like I'm forgetting what it's called, but that collection of like your thalamus, your hypothalamus, like all these different things that are really important for like reasoning and memory and all that. Like
occipital.
your occipital is all like
The back.
ocular stuff. Like that's not as connected. It's like a whole brain hemisphere away.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think hearing these things, that's why we like pretty words. Like that's why we like affirmations. Like all
Mm-hmm.
those things just impact us so deeply. Like,
Mm-hmm.
art is difficult for some people because it doesn't have the audio component. But
Right.
audio visual, like, music's pretty powerful, but think about how many like movie scenes you've
Mm-hmm.
seen that are like, oh my God, the music behind this, the scoring is amazing. Like it just set
Mm-hmm.
the scene so much for this. Like there's a reason it evokes so much. We're getting a visual input that focuses the fantasy that we get from the music. Like,
Right. It's
yeah,
all tied together. Yeah, that's probably why that kind of visual form of entertainment is the most digestible and like well accepted because it's like
yeah,
almost a combination of every sense that we have coming
yeah,
together into something that like makes us like so engulfed in it that like it consumes our attention for the amount of time that we're listening to it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a necessary thing we need though. Like,
So maybe we need to just hypnotize our fucking viewers into like by listening to our fucking music. Like that's basically what we're talking about here is like a hippie revolution, like trial by hypnotism, like every
oh my God.
wave right now. Like let's be
Yeah,
happy, let's love each other, let's fucking be smart, let's not fall for the dumb shit, like, and just I think if we came together, like that's the answer, man.
yeah.
Let's just not yell at each other. Let's start screaming together instead of at each other.
Screaming together might be the podcast title for this.
Let's
That's
do it. Let's
beautiful.
scream, yo. Me and Nate, we're right here. We're screaming. Come
Yeah.
scream with us, please.
Come scream with us. Dude, let's end it on that. That's like,
It's
that's
been
perfect.
it's been a full
Um,
duration.
yeah, dude. Okay, we have, if you're listening to the end, thank you. But also we have the Join the Revolution playlist up by the time that this video will be released.
For sure.
It'll be on our Instagram, linked in our YouTube probably.
Hmm.
You'll be able to find it under Reels, or it'll just be linked in the description on Instagram. And then we're gonna get a cloudy playlist up too. So
Yeah.
hopefully that's out by now.
And from now until the next time we see you, Nate and I are gonna channel opposite fucking flow states.
Yeah, we'll be
And
journaling this. Yeah, everything.
we'll try
Yeah.
and really like embody that flow state. So we'll let you know how it goes. We're gonna be writing it down.
Yeah.
Dude, we're
Fuck. Thank you, everybody. Yeah.
turning
Peace.
it off. Word.